So you want to play Dark and Darker, but you're not totally sure where to start. As someone with countless hours in Dark and Darker, I'll give you a quick beginner's guide that will take you from 0 to hero. And that journey starts right here in the character customization screen. As you can see, there's a variety of classes to pick from. Right now, we only have access to 8 of them, with the Druid coming soon. That's been coming soon for a hot minute. However, I think the Druid is gonna come out in March, so might be a good time for you to pick the game up. But anyways, there's a few classes to pick from. I encourage you to just go through all of the classes and pick, what fits your playstyle best. My recommendation, if you're someone that's starting out, I would probably go with a cleric. The cleric has the ability to heal itself, so if you're in a solo dungeon, or even if you're playing with friends, having those heals is super clutch. Certainly helps with the survivability. Dang, I don't think I could say that word right. Whatever, you survive longer. But don't let me keep you from trying some of the harder classes like the Wizard, the Bard. But for the sake of keeping this video short and sweet, we're just gonna go with the Cleric. Let's give this guy a name. Big heels, little hair. Even though he's got a lot of hair, just not on the top. And with that, he's now on our character list. Now, you can make many characters. You're not stuck into one class once you pick it. You can go right into create character and start the whole process over again and do it as many times as you want. So again, I encourage you to play with all the classes, see what fits your play style. But let's get into the next part, which is the menu. Sort of the main menu. You've got all these tabs up here. I'll touch on the important ones and sort of, give you a general overview of all that, and then we'll go into picking our maps. Class, sort of our first important tab. The training thing, again, if you haven't noticed, this game is in alpha, early access. So maybe once this comes out, I'll make a different video. But perks and skills. As you can see, I'm level 1, so I have access to only 1 perk. As I level up, 5, 10, and 15, I will be able to put on more perks. Very straightforward. Feel free to play around with all the different perks and see what works best. For the sake of time and just keeping this brief, I'm not going to really go over every single perk and get into the nitty-gritty details. I'm just going to, again, I'm just trying to get you started and in the game. So Cleric, we use a mace, blunt weapon mastery. This gives us a 10% physical damage bonus. Sounds pretty good. Since our starting weapon's a mace, I think that's a good perk to start with, so that's what we'll do. Moving down from the perks, we have our skills. Each class has its own specific skills. Now, important note, the only classes that have spells currently are the Cleric, the Wizard, and the Warlock. I'll throw Bard in that category. He doesn't use spells, but he does have a music memory, which is the same as a spell memory, in the sense that when you go over to the spell page, you have all these spells to choose from. But for a Bard, it's music sheets, but it works the exact same. So I'm just gonna call it spells. In order to use spells, if you go with the Cleric class or any of the other classes I mentioned, you need to have a spell memory. So if I had like Holy Purification and Divine Protection on, for example, and I didn't have a spell memory skill, I would not be able to use any of these spells in game that I've picked. So make sure you have a spell memory equipped, okay? Now your other skill, you can choose from a few different ones. In every class, there's sort of like a meta skill that people use, and there's tons of videos on that, so I'm not gonna go into the detail of every skill and what's best. I think for now, let's just pick the obvious, which is the spell memory, and then we're going to go with Smite. I've heard Smite's pretty good for the Cleric. It's an ability that once you press the Q button, which is what I have this bound to, I think that's standard, you'll deal an additional 10 magic damage to all enemies within 7 seconds, which is pretty good. So that's a good spell, we'll use that. I could go into how magic damage increases with how much will you have and how much magic power attributes you have on each of your armor. Again, it can get pretty crazy, it can get pretty nitty-gritty, and this is a quick, brief video, or at least I'm trying to make it brief. So I'm not going to get into all that. I will, however, go over this very briefly. You have your main attributes up here at the top. So there's strength, and if you hover over each of these, it'll give you a brief description of what each attribute does. So example, strength increases physical power and the damage you do with your weapons. It slightly increases your health, pretty good. Vigor increases your health. That's just like a straight health increase. Okay, then there's agility that affects move speed. The Cleric, as you see, my move speed in the red, which means Clerics are pretty slow. That is one of the disadvantages of being a Cleric. You move slower than, I think, probably every other class. But you can get armor that has agility rolls, as we call it, on there, or just straight move speed bonuses. So you're not stuck here. You could be a fast Cleric if you found gear that had those attributes on it and you built that kit out. But let's stay focused. Now, depending on what class you pick, you're going to want to maximize specific attributes to get the most out of the class. Example, since I'm a Cleric, I probably want to prioritize knowledge and will. Knowledge increases the memory capacity, allowing me to carry more spells of a higher cost, so I could have more higher cost spells with more knowledge. And will increases the spell power. It also improves buff and curse duration. Having a high will on someone like a cleric is good because a cleric is a class that will buff. So having a higher buff duration, let's say you cast protection and it only lasts 30 seconds. If you have a higher will attribute, then your buff's going to last longer, which is good. Same works for the adverse. If you're a warlock and you're placing a curse on somebody, the duration of that curse is going to last longer. So that's a brief description there. Again, maximize the attributes that are going to benefit your character the most. Just hover over all of these and you'll get a pretty brief description of what everything does. Spell time. We have spell memory equipped, remember, so we have access to 5 spells. If we had spell memory 2 on as well as spell memory 1, then we would have access to 10 spells. We're just gonna run 1 spell memory and then a smite skill. So here's a rundown of all your spells as a cleric. Obviously classes like fighter, barbarian, rogue, all the other ones that don't use magic aren't gonna have any use out of this tab. There's no spell tab for them. It's just perk and skill. You can take the time to go over all these spells if you'd like. There's really no wrong answer when it comes to spells for a cleric. I mean, they're all pretty good. Here we have lesser health or lesser heal. So that'll heal yourself for 15 health. I highly recommend if you're new taking a spell that's going to heal you. There is Bless, so that grants the target 5 strength, 5 agility, 5 will for 30 seconds. So that's a buff. We're gonna take Cleanse off, and I think I'd like to take Divine Strike with me. As you see when I'm moving those spells around, my cost limit's changing. I can't have like Resurrection and Locust Swarm and, you know, what's down here, Earthquake. I can't have all these things with a low knowledge. I currently only have 14 cost limit, so I have some higher cost spells, and because it went over my limit, I cannot cast them. Pretty straightforward. Now that we've got all that out of the way, in the play tab, when you're ready to go on a journey, which we pretty much are, you come over here to the dungeon map, and you pick what map you want to go to. Currently we have 3 maps. One big difference before I start the game though, as you can see, there's a normal and a high roller lobby. Now right now the high roller lobby is free. Before it costed money, and the reason being is the high roller lobbies will carry a higher grade of loot. So a normal lobby, the mobs are a lot easier to kill. The loot isn't as good and there's no cost. So it's like low risk, low reward. High roller is high risk, high reward. That's all you really need to know. The monsters are harder to kill. It's a little scary. I would recommend just doing a normal game until you get used to how the game works and then go into the high roller lobbies. All right, some live commentary of basically what a game's going to look like. Got a base kit, meaning we have no gear starting at level 1, and we're playing play. We're hitting play on the Goblin Cave maps. This is the pre-lobby. Other players will spawn in here and you can check out their gear. As it stands, in the normal lobbies, you can only carry in gear that is rated common or lower. So you won't find too much competition in here. It really is more of a skill-based kind of thing. You're not going to get out-geared in a normals dungeon. So generally this pre-game lobby is a lot more full, but the devs did an update. I'm recording this post-update, so the lobbies aren't like this anymore, but this is a dark time. The maps were split about 18 different ways, so there's a lot of different queues. So the map pool, the player pool, you know, it's a smaller game, so there's not many players, so they were split pretty well. So there were a couple of games like this where there was just 1 or 2 other people in it. Thankfully the devs fixed this though, it's not like this anymore. As you can see, there's a little dummy here, and you can check out what kind of damage you're doing with your weapon. You can cast spells on it too, shoot your bow at it, whatever. Just a little something to do in the pre-lobby while you wait for the game. All right, and we're in. Looks like we spawned in the cave tunnels. You can see where you are in the map on the bottom right. A little mini map with the name of the tile and a little timer to let you know what the zone's doing. Yeah, but this is the start of the game right here. There's a couple mobs. Generally, you want to clear all the mobs in the room as fast as you can in case another player decides to push you. Nothing worse than trying to fight somebody with 4 goblins trying to tickle your cheeks without consent. So I took a hit there, and so I'm gonna drink a potion, and looks like there's a goblin mage here. So yeah, just trying to hit all my headshots here. After each kill, you can go ahead and loot them. There's not going to be crazy loot in this game. It's a normals game, you know, but it's still worth checking everything just to see if there's something worth selling in there. I found a better tunic, so I'm equipping that. Better shoes. I can use a war maul, but it's not my favorite, so I'm gonna leave it. And yeah, this is the bulk of the gameplay that you're seeing right here. Nothing too crazy to commentate over. Right now I'm just looting. As you know, the whole point of this game is to just get as many items as you can that's worth gold, you know, extract out of the blue portals, which you'll see at the end of this game. Sell the loot to the merchants, and you know, ultimately equip yourself with better gear. And kind of roll into the next one, if that makes sense. You know, you're starting out kind of low in terms of what kind of gear you have, and then just upgrading as you go, finding better gear, buying better gear with the gold you make at the end of it, and just becoming a force. This is a mimic. This is one of my least favorite mobs in the game. Bats, I think, are my top hated mob in this game because they suck. They're horrible to hit. I can't see them. I might also just be blind. But these little guys, these mimics, give me a jump scare every time. You can still loot them now, like a normal chest afterwards. You just gotta, you know, you gotta earn it. Another Goblin Mage. You can dodge, or excuse me, you can block most attacks with the shield. Sometimes you might take a little bit of, I don't know what you want to call it, like elemental damage or spell damage, but generally you can block most things with a shield. Barrels sometimes have skeletons in them. I was looking for gear. The barrels and crates are good sources for better weapons and better armor and things like that, so definitely worth breaking all the barrels and all the crates. Again, just playing the game here, trying to find better loot, trying to get the gold. That way I can load into the next game and I can be a Mega Chad cleric. Find a better mace, so I'm going to equip it. Depending on what kind of build you're going for will determine what kind of armor you want to put on. I'm just kind of throwing on the plate boots because they had a health bonus, I think. And I also found a handy dandy campfire. If you put down a campfire and you rest with your G button, I believe is like the standard bind for resting, you can put the campfire down. Resting at a campfire will also get you your spells back. So if you're a cleric or a wizard or anything of the sort, it'll charge your spells a lot faster than just sitting regularly. You can see how fast they're getting charged right now. Your health goes up a lot faster too, resting at a campfire. So very useful. If you see a campfire, I would pick it up personally. Right there was a little trap door. If you throw a torch on it or anything to weigh it down, get to a little room like that. There's lots of little secrets like that too in all these rooms. Levers that open up secret entrances and things like that. I think I just bonked this guy and gave him a concussion. Dude didn't know what to do. Saw his friend die right in front of him and he was in shock. I don't blame him. But yeah, there's lots of little secrets. Think of it like regular Dungeons and Dragons. Like there's going to be hidden walls. There's going to be, you know, secrets here and there to find. I think it's really cool that they have those kind of things in here like that. Here I just wanted to showcase one of Cleric's skills called Holy Strike. Clerics mainly used for their buffs and heals, but they have some other really cool spells that do some good damage, and Holy Strike's one of them. Just something cool wanted to show. This is one of them crates I was talking about that carry really good loot. This is a double crate, so it'll have 3 items in it typically, ranging from armor to weapons. There I found a campfire kit, some boots, and an axe. All things I can't throw, hence why they're red. So I went ahead and dropped them. Wanted some more space for things I could carry and sell, or maybe even equip myself. This is a fun little room. This is it's called Foursquare by the community. It looks like the map calls it Cave Elf Hole. I can't read that actually. I don't have my glasses on. And I don't even wear glasses, so I don't know why I said that. I need glasses. I can't see. That room's a bit much, so I'm gonna jump down and check that out. Whoa, very scary. Big centipede. They're intimidating at first, but they're actually pretty easy to kill. These centipedes are known as sub-bosses. You know, they don't have their own lair. They're kind of just in static areas around the map. If you manage to kill them, which they're pretty easy to kill, you can see them just sort of strafing to the right, occasionally blocking their little spit attack, but you can defeat this thing by literally just moving to its left or right, you know, baiting its little lunge attack right there, smacking it on the head. Sometimes that spit attack will still hit you even if you block, but it's not the end of the world. It's just a little funky how it shoots you. Defeating these guys will not only give you a little bit of experience, but they drop better items too. So if you're confident in killing these things, definitely worth it. They're really good about dropping jewelry that's you know, very good. Don't step in the goo. The goo will kill you. Just don't step in the goo. That's pretty obvious that that goo is going to hurt you. So just don't step in it. I don't know what else to tell you. It's pretty straightforward. Here I am just looting a couple more chests. As you can see, there's about 4 minutes left in the game, and we got a portal. As the map closes in, you'll have these little escape portals come up sort of randomly in the zone. And yeah, that's our ticket out. You can take those, or as I show you over here, I don't know if you can see it on the mini map at this moment, but there's a little blue staircase right there. That is a static exit. That exit's always there. It opens up around this time in the game, so it's always towards the end of the game that this one opens up, but it's a free exit. You can take it whenever you want. You don't have to wait for a portal. It's always going to be there. You can rely on it. If you see the gate close with rocks fallen, then someone's already taken it. Only one person can get out, but yeah, we're gonna take that static exit. You can continue spectating if you want, if there's other players, or you can just exit to the lobby, which is what I'm doing. And now comes the fun part. We leveled up. Level 1 to level 4, so almost enough to add an extra perk. That's level 5. But we got some stuff in our stash. We got some treasure. So we're going to go to the merchants tab and sell some of this stuff for gold. I've already got some stuff in my stash, my inventory that I want to keep, so I'm going to move it over to my stash so I don't lose it. The merchants tab. Lots of fun little guys in here. We're going to hit the collector in a second to sell all these trinkets that we have. You know, our goblets, our cups, jewelry, things like that. While we're in the merchants tab, let me just show you a couple of the other merchants you can select. There's an alchemist where you can buy potions, super helpful in a dungeon. The armorer has, you know, obviously armor, so you can make yourself stronger. There's a goblin merchant. This is sort of like a gambling merchant. It's pretty fun. Not very reliable, but if you want to try and get a good item, go for it. Here we are at the collector. So this funny looking guy is going to give us some money for all the stuff we picked up in the dungeon. So gold water pot, click it, and it'll go right over to his little inventory there. These things, depending on the rarity, will depend on how much gold you get. So a green water pot is going to net you more money than, like, you know, this cracked ceremonial dagger. So like that one's only giving me 5 gold, that one's gonna be 32. So definitely prioritize getting the rarer trinkets when you're in there, but it's still 5 gold. I had space in my inventory. I'm gonna pick it up anyways. It's gonna give me experience points, so I'm definitely just gonna grab it. And we got 104 gold. Very cool. Make sure to dump your inventory into your stash before you go into the next game. I've gone into games plenty of times where I still have the gold that I got from all my treasure and then died and lost all of it. So you will never lose the stuff in your stash. So just keep it in there for safekeeping. Armor, weapons, you can put anything in there that you want. Yeah, with that, you're ready to go into the next one. It's a very addicting game loop. You go in, you survive, which is already a pretty great feeling. You get your money, you equip yourself with better stuff, you go back in, and then maybe you can take on some PvP now and get even better loot. Or, you know, maybe you can fight a boss with what you got. You know, it's all part of the fun. Anyways, I kind of made this video because I have friends that want to play, but don't really know what it's about or how to approach Dark and Darker. I hope this helped some of you get an idea of what this game is like, and hopefully you can enjoy it. It's been one of my favorite games I've played in a long time. I really do love it. The community behind it's really fun, and the devs seem to really care about their game, so that's always a good sign. But yeah, hopefully I see you guys in there. Let me know what you think, and peace.